Alright, so my last video kind of cut out there when we were talking about number 4. But for number 4, just remember these coordinates are x, y, and z. X, y, and z. And to do midpoint, we're just going to use the midpoint formula from before, from last year and the beginning of this year, except now we have this new z section. Okay, so now it's just threefold. But really what we're doing is we're just taking the average. We're adding the two things, dividing it by 2. And then to find the distance, we're doing the same distance formula from last year and this year. The only difference is now we have this z section. Okay, so if we're going to do this, I'm just going to start plugging in these numbers, and I'm going to call this 0.1, I'm going to call this 0.2. So for my midpoint, I'm taking x1, which is 2, plus x2, which is 5, over 2. Taking y1, 12, plus y2, which is 7, over 2. Then I'm taking z1, which is 7, plus z2, which is 3, over 2. And as we can see, these aren't all going to be nice round numbers. This is 7 over 2. This is 19 over 2. But this one works out to 10 over 2. And in fact, you can leave these as fractions, or you can go ahead and divide them in your calculator. So that would be 3.5, this would be 9.5, and this one would come out as an easy 5. Over here for distance, it's going to look a little different because we're going to start with the second point. So this is going to be the square root of x2, 5, minus x1, 2 squared, plus y2, which is 7, minus y1, which is 12 squared, plus z2, which is 3, minus z1, which is 7 squared. So now I'm going to work these out. 5 minus 2 is 3. 7 minus 12 is negative 5. And 3 minus 7 is negative 4. Now when I square these, all those negatives are going to become positives, of course. So 3 squared is 9, negative 5 squared is 25, and 4 squared is 16. Well, 9 plus 16 is 25, plus 25 has a square root of 50. Now there are two things I can do here. The first is I can just plug it in my calculator. Second square root of 50. Well, let's say this was a multiple choice question and you had your answers listed as different radicals. That means you need to simplify this radical. Well, just as a reminder, here's how we do that. We're going to factor this thing into its main factors. And so I know that 50, for instance, could be like 25 and 2. So what this means is I have the square root of 25 times the square root of 2, and that equals the square root of 50. In other words, I know that this square root of 25 is just 5. And that square root of 2, well, that doesn't simplify any further. It's a prime number. So we're just going to leave it as square root of 2. And that would be our answer for that distance right there.